Tony, what are we doing out here at Lakeside Park today?
Well, you know, we were talking a little bit about the Between the Studs show thing, and Tony said to meet out here we were going to talk a little bit about Native Americans.
Okay, yeah.
And a lot of people don't know this, but there's a lot of arrowheads around here. Speaking of which, I got one right here.
All right, well, let me work on that one.
That's cool. And I think I've got another one right here. Let me get it cleaned off nice and good.
Hi guys, what are you?
Lonnie, look at that arrowhead.
It's not an arrowhead, that's goose poop. Throw it down and wash your hands. You guys understand what a wonderful place we're standing in? Lakeside Park. Also, though, it was the camp for the Miami Indians and Chief Little Turtle. Can you just see it? We're talking teepees. We're talking fires. We're talking places where they're making clothes out of deer skin, for example. Unbelievable place.
Chief Little Turtle was one of the best warriors and peacemakers of his time. And actually, he talked about this as being a sacred place, and he called it the Great Gate.
The Great Glorious Gate. You know why? Because the rivers cross here. And also, it was a great place to portage from a river over to the Wabash River, which would take you all the way to the Mississippi. So you can get to Chicago, you can get to Detroit, or to the west, right from Fort Wayne.
Yeah. And you can see why Fort Wayne then became the hub of industry too. Because of all that, Fort Wayne is what it is. Now, I've got a really, really interesting piece. This is from 1780. I got it from the National Historic Museum, guys. Don't you touch it.
Tony, you said you got it from the museum. Did you actually get permission?
Well, define permission. I mean, I kind of told him I might need it someday.
That belongs in a museum.
Yeah. Well, even if it does, I have some pretty neat information about it. So when those cloaks were being used, they would typically only use them in the winter time when it was really, really cold. Sure. They would make them from animal hide skins. They would lay them out to dry or tan so that they wouldn't decompose when they would wear them. They loved to decorate them, and for decoration in the earlier times, they would use things like feathers, they would use furs from other animals, and sometimes porcupine spines. After that, they, when the headdresses are a little bit later on, because they would use beads once the Europeans came into town. They didn't start to use the glass beads until the Europeans introduced them to them, so that must be a little bit of a later one there.
And guys, what do I see over there Luke doing?
Luke. Oh, what's he wearing?
I think he's got a papoose with him.
What's a papoose?
It's like a Native American baby. It's a baby that's the Native American word for it.
Well, that's a papoose carrier, actually.
Yes. Which, you know, we still do that today. I mean, we have made backpacks. It's kind of the modern papoose holder, and now even I've got one that's a backpack and a baby holder, so you can do both.
So 230 years ago, they knew we were going to be having backpacks and baby holders.
Still works today.
That's pretty awesome. Well, this has been fun at Lakeside Park, but we got to talk about Lakeside Park. Let's get ready for the opening of the show, guys. All right, let's put this back. Do I need to take this back?
I think I'm better, Tony. I mean, you know.
Drop that stuff.
My God.
I'll clean it up.
You are.
I think this would be a perfect spot to get some more of these roses.
Man, you know I'm all about freebies, Dave, but I don't think this is the right thing to be doing.
Yeah, but I need just a couple more because I'm really in the doghouse with my wife.
Man, if we get fined, I'm not taking this on.
All right, why don't you take that as a bribe for right now?
My wife does like flowers.
You know, I think they're going to get in trouble for cutting those flowers over here at Lakeside Park.
They're in trouble.
Well, thanks for joining us. I think this is going to be a great show for you. We're over here at Lakeside Park, and we just got done talking about the history, the Native Indians. This was a sacred ground. Lonnie, would you go ahead and open up for us?
Sure. Hey, welcome to Between the Studs. I'm Lonnie Norris, and this is some of my co-workers at Granite Ridge Builders, including Tony Ranke, our president. You know, we really enjoy what we're doing, and we actually love our city. We love northern Indiana. We love southern Michigan and northwest Ohio, those places where we build custom homes. Today's a little bit different. We're in Lakeside Park, and I'm excited about this show.
Lakeside Park is a great part of Fort Wayne also. It was actually purchased in 1908, and the Fort Wayne Parks Department threw in about $7,800 to basically upgrade it and make it into a very nice park.
Wow.
But you know, what happened then in the 1920s is Adolph Jenke came in and he just revamped a lot of our parks around Fort Wayne and Allen County, including this Lakeside Park with its sunken nature.
Yeah.
And then they actually took a lot of the dirt, put it along the side to build up deltas, and then that helped with the flooding in this area completely. Now, as you know, with Lakeside Park here, they are known for their roses, but what most people may not understand, it was in 1928, we have a national recognition as this is a national rose garden for the entire country to enjoy.
You know, one of the reasons why is because we have over 2,000 rose plants here in 150 different varieties.
Okay, the question is going to be, how are we going to do a process today? We're going to be talking about roofs. Now, we are all known, we really cover our houses well, correct? So we're going to talk about roofs today. We're going to do a couple things. We're going to show you a little bit about the process. We're also going to show you some nomenclature, but the reason we're over here at Lakeside Park, we've got a boulevard right next to us called
Forest Park Boulevard.
Forest Park. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some of those roofs. And what a lot of people don't know, you can tell an architectural style by the roof itself. So this is going to be a treat for us. We're going to walk down that boulevard and show you some nomenclature on roofs and show you what kind of architectural style it is. So let's break off on twos and let's do our walk. Okay, this is a National Historic Town.
I love the street.
So again, today we are on Forest Park Boulevard, and we're going to take a stroll, and we're going to focus in particularly on roofs because they're so important to a new home.
They are, and the roof really tells so much about the architectural style with all of these homes.
I'm excited.
Let's go take a look.
Let's go.
Lonnie, I just love the homes up and down this boulevard here. We are looking at some really unique structures, and they're about 100-year-old.
You're right, Kayla. We would call this style a colonial revival style home. Like you said, about 100 years old. Very popular in America for a long, long time. Notice it has a hip roof.
You know, the hip roof is very popular for, again, like you said, around this area. What's unique about it is we have the hip roof on the main gable, we have one on a side gable over here, and the front porch.
Yes, but this home is kind of square, which is colonial revival. Also, the windows are very symmetrical. And speaking of the roof, it happens to be tile.
It does. So the tile roof, you're not going to see it in this area quite as often, but it is gorgeous. It really accents the style of that colonial revival. There are a little bit more maintenance in this area, but it really is a gorgeous roof system.
Isn't this a beautiful house?
Elizabeth, we're standing in front of another beautiful home here on Forest Park Avenue. This is actually an Italian mission style, and a little bit about the history of the house itself was actually built in 1927 for a gentleman by the name of Cooney Bear. Cooney Bear actually owned a cigar factory that was over on Edgewater Avenue. Just a little bit more about this house, Elizabeth?
Now, some of the key components of this home, the Italianate style, you can see that with the big overhangs or eaves, and under that, the Italianate brackets. So those are a decorative piece. And then below that is the entablature. Now there's three parts of the entablature. The top part would be the cornice, and that's where you see the dentile features. The flat part would be the frieze. And then below that, there's a little piece that sticks out, and that would be the crosshead. This home also has a hip roof. The front is hipped and the sides are hipped. Now over the porch, it's a flat roof, and we have a wrought iron balustrade.
It's just another beautiful house here on Forest Park Avenue.
This house behind us is called a four-square house or a prairie style, which of course has been famous by Frank Lloyd Wright.
You know, I love this style behind us here. You can really pinpoint it based on the roof system and structure. So what we have is a pyramid roof is the main part. That's 4 hips going up to the same point. What you also see up there is a hip roof dormer. So you have a roof on that is also a hip. We have the same sort of hip roof on the front porch. It's very long. It's a little bit of a lower slope to make it drawn out and a little bit longer across that porch.
Which would hint towards the difference between the two styles of prairie. We have the boxy symmetrical, which we see mostly here, but it also has a hint of the shorter and the asymmetrical that we see in the patio porch up front.
Besides the roof system, there are a few other things that point to the prairie style. One thing that is really incredible here are the eaves. We have a vaulted eave system. There are a few other things like what Frank Lloyd Wright would call piers. So you see the columns supporting the porch are the large brick columns, or piers as Frank Lloyd Wright would call them. We also have the geometrical grid style in the windows.
Altogether, the prairie style is one of the most popular in the Midwest, and you won't be surprised to find it very often here in Fort Wayne. Good luck going into a suburb where you don't find the style of the home we got behind us. This is a Tudor home.
Or English Tudor home. And you know, Izzy, up to this point, we've been looking at roof systems that were either low slope or moderate slope, but this is, I would call it very high slope.
And we've got quite a few things going on with this roof system again here. Lots of things that we've got to accent this roof.
Yeah, for example, there's a jerkin head up there.
Are you calling me a name?
I'm not. That's actually a clip gable. You can see it up there, which is a distinction, a characteristic of this particular home. And then there's also several dormers.
The dormer selection is wonderful as well. We have a hipped eyebrow dormer as well as a sloped eave dormer.
And also over the porch, it's also sloped or flared.
We've got the stucco half timber home here with the base in brick with some stone accents.
I love the English Tudor home. You know, for a few $100s here and a few $100s there, you can add a lot of beautiful things that really characterize your home.
And last but not least, we have the bay window with a copper dormer.
A lot of people ask us about tin or metal roofs, beautiful accents, and not necessarily all that expensive.
Kayla, we're standing in front of an arts and crafts style house that also has a little bit of colonial flair to it. And you can see that colonial flair basically in the windows and the window style.
You know, one of the things that sets this style apart is definitely the roof system. You have a moderate slope for your gable roof, and what really sets it apart are going to be the flanking gable dormers on the top there.
And also the front porch also with a larger brick style and a very big brick foundation.
One of the things that I love about arts and crafts is they go a little bit more decorative on some of the features, and what you see on this roof when you're coming towards the ends there, we have the sloped rafter tails that are sculpted to bring it a little bit more life and really play towards that arts and crafts.
This home is an Italianate prairie style home. Now this roof is actually a terracotta roof, and it's a hip on the front and also the sides.
Well, some of the accents that make this style what it is if you look at the eaves, you have almost 3 foot of eave space with those exposed rafter tails coming out the side. Plus you've got the bay windows up top and that extremely wide and deep front porch.
And some characteristics of the prairie style would be the piers on the front porch. We don't see that often around here. It's a beautiful accent that the prairie style brought.
You know, we talked about this house and how sometimes we get asked about different color selections, and with this red, it really makes it stand out. Another thing that makes this home stand out is it's actually concrete when you're looking at the whole home itself. And then also the cornice returns, they actually just kind of dead end themselves and they don't go into anything. And these are all just accent pieces that really just make this home stick out.
This is one of the most exciting homes we're going to get to look at today. It's a Georgian style home. The word Georgian style actually comes from the 4 King Georges of England.
And some of the key factors that really make it a Georgian style home, first of all, so they have 5 rank windows there on the 2nd floor with keystones above them. And then also you have a gorgeous slate roof, and you have chimneys on both sides of the house off the gable ends.
We have 3 gable dormers with pilasters on the side and beautiful geometrical curved windows.
And below that you have the copper gutters with the larger frieze board and also the exposed rafters.
And at the front we have a segmented arch portico with exposed rafters. It's absolutely beautiful.
Plus it has all the beautiful copper on the gutters. I think, well, that's pretty
on the
nice.
ridge board.
I know, that's pretty sharp.
Well, Kayla, today's subject is roofs. But we're standing in front of a credible home. I would call it probably a collegiate Gothic home. You could take this home and set it on a campus like IU, for example, and fit right in. But before we talk about the roof, let's talk about some of the intricate features of this home.
You know, I love some of the features of this home. We have the wall dormers coming up on both sides. One of them is accented with a bay sort of windows on the 1st and 2nd floor. And what really tops it off and creates a little bit of a decorative feature are the corbels at the top of those gables in the wall dormers. What I also love, you can't miss the front porch, and the front door has a limestone entablature.
Yeah, and the limestone and the brick combinations make it a beautiful home. And of course, if you look at the roof, it's a very simple gable roof type system. And the product that they put on the roof is, I think, a synthetic tile.
It definitely
Or
looks
slate.
like it's something that we could do around this area here nowadays if we wanted to. It could be a little expensive, but a really awesome feature. One of my favorite things to notice and point out with this home, coming out of the roof on both sides, you'll see fireplace chimneys. What this means is this home was designed for possibly an area of the South, so those fireplaces are on the outside, and if they would cook, the heat would go to the outside and not throughout the whole home.
I love this house. Let's move in.
All right.
Got that gable rafter set?
Yep.
All right, this is the first fly rafter.
All right. Well, now that things are coming along here, we just spent some great time at Lakeside Park going through all of those historic homes, identifying the different roof systems. Now, can you help us here with how do all those come together, the nomenclature, the parts and pieces? We'd really like to be able to learn all of that.
Yeah, really the easiest way to do that is just start from our top plate, which would be the top of the wall, and then kind of go from there. So, Izzy, I think you got something that goes with the top wall.
Yeah, what did you just put up there, the first part, though?
Yeah, so that was a fly rafter. Now that's the rafter that actually extends outside, but typically we were putting the common rafters in. That's what Tyler was setting in place.
Okay. And then what's this piece for? I see a cutout here. What's going on there?
Yeah, so this is actually a smaller version of our common rafter, and this is our top plate here. This little notch out right here sits right on our bird's mouth is what this is called. And that sits on that plate, giving it a nice positive connection. And then that's where the rafters go the entire length of the roof at that point.
Now when they're going up the entire length of the roof, we're attaching to that really long ridge up there, right?
Yeah, and that's where this area here, this slanted area, ties into what we call our ridge board. And that's literally the peak of the roof. So that actually provides a lot of structural integrity and ties all those common rafters in one unit.
Now, what about the piece on the side or the overhang and also on the front?
Yeah, so the other end of this rafter, it's cut at a notch here. This would be what would create our overhang. So we call this a fly rafter is what is on the side, and then a rafter tail is what comes off the front and the back.
And that's typically a 12-inch overhang.
Yeah, typically a 12-inch overhang. And actually the angle of this rafter right here is actually what creates our slope. So you hear people say the term 612, 812, or 1012, or even 1212. And 1212 would be steeper, 612 would be a little bit less. And really what all that means is for every 12 inches you run horizontal, how many inches do you run vertical? So 612 would be 12 inches horizontal, 6 inches vertical, giving you, again, that slope.
So Luke, what do we have going on this house?
Yeah, so this house is actually a 10-12 pitch.
Okay.
Now, to finish this piece, because it does overhang, we use vinyl, and it's a continuous vented vinyl soffit.
Right, like when Tony mentioned the ridge board, there's actually a ridge cap that we put on there, which brings in fresh air into that attic, and it ties in with our soffit. So there's air flowing through our soffit, going out that ridge vent, and just constantly providing fresh air for our attic space, cooling that area down.
And what's another term for that area underneath there?
Yeah, so this whole overhang here, we call that sometimes the eave.
And of course, the history behind the eave there is it was a great spot for your nosy neighbor to come around and listen in. Because back then they didn't have gutters, so the rain would actually fall and come straight down and create a line there. That line would be the eaves dropping. That's where they would nestle in, listen into your conversation. Didn't have insulation back then. Maybe just a hole for a window or a single pane, so that's where we got the word eaves dropping from.
Makes sense.
Now guys, that pretty much covers the basic as far as the roof assembly. But then after all this is set in place, we actually put some sheeting on.
Hey, I see some sheathing right over there. Why don't we go grab some?
Let's go get it. Hey Tony, is this plywood or is this OSB?
This is definitely OSB. It is nice and thick and heavy.
And what does OSB stand for again?
Orientated strand board.
Well, you know what it looks like to me. A big tic-tac-toe board. Look, someone's already got started. Come on, let's get in on this.
I'm in on this. Go ahead.
Guys,
Yeah.
what are you doing here?
Someone's got tic-tac-toe work. We're gonna get on it.
Guys, this is gonna go on this house. I'm gonna get a call about graffiti.
Oh, he did it.
You put it X
Oh,
there.
right
I
here it
think.
is.
Yeah,
Got it.
So Luke, we got this OSB's got some blue line on the side of it here. What is that for?
Yeah, so the OSB is all treated. It's got a sealant applied on the surface here, but one of the areas with OSB, the edges can actually swell up if they get a little bit of moisture in it, so they put an extra sealant on that, just protecting it even further.
Now, one thing I've noticed about this is it does look like a tic-tac-toe board, but what really are the lines for?
Yeah, so the lines, as well as the tape measure, there's lots of little tricks with it. So those lines are spaced at 16-inch, 24-inch across there, so it's all about efficiency. And obviously when you're working up on a roof, you're dealing with heights, not having to pull out your tape measure and just know exactly where that is, or maybe you know exactly where your nail pattern is because you got a rafter right under that line. Okay. And the tape measure has a lot of neat tips like that too, where it's got arrows and red dots and diamonds, all again helping our framers out as they're putting this house together.
What about these clips? What are they for?
Yeah, so the clips add a little bit strength to our house. So these are actually called H clips, and they actually go in between the OSBs. What it does is it's dual purpose. It adds a little bit of strength, so if you're walking across it, now we do use 1/2 inch OSB as opposed to 7/16, so that does give us a little bit more strength. If you're up there putting your Christmas lights on, you're not bouncing like a trampoline as much. But the H-clips help tie one sheet of OSB to the next sheet of OSB, and it also provides a little bit of spacing because here in Indiana we have a lot of weather patterns, so you get expansion and contraction. It gives you the ability to expand and contract without puckering.
Now, one big question that I have with all this is, how many of these sheets do we need to get up there?
Well, if you give this one to Tyler, that'll be one of 170 sheets we need to put up on this roof. So
How do we get them up there?
Hand it to Tyler, he'll show you how.
All right. Ready?
Yeah.
You guys all done playing games?
Never. Got it?
Yep.
All right.
All right, you guys gonna help me with the other 169? There's a big pile right over here.
All right.
Actually, I just got a phone call. I got to get back to the office. Elizabeth, one of the true joys of being a new home consultant with Granite Ridge Builders is actually coming back and seeing one of the homes that you helped build in its finished product here.
And this particular home has a lot to talk about when it comes to the roof. This home is actually a gable roof, so it's like this, which is pretty typical in our area, probably one of the more typical roof styles. And then it has some really neat accent features when it comes to the roof design.
It does, because if you're looking over that third bay garage that's behind me, you're going to see a Dutch gable. That's a roof that's coming down, and it's going to go about 2 foot back, and above that you have a clipped gable on top of that, which is also known as a jerkin head, or that hip roof on the gable.
And these are just decorative features. They're just little touches that make the house look a little bit different than everything else. Now, some other features on this home are, like we talked about previously, the ridge vent. You can see that it spans across the entire top of the roof. And then, of course, we have those hooks, which are a safety measure for when we're building the home. They can clip onto those.
You know, these homes really have so much going for them. There's so many different features in it. We really love watching these homes come together and these roofs come together.
So Kayla, behind us here, we have technically a hipped roof elevation. So with that, we've got a side load garage, which is one of the things that I find very intriguing. And I want you to define a little bit for us here 3 roofing systems that we've got all in one.
So on the end of the garage, you can see that we have the main hip part behind everything, and the area that's just stone is what's coming into the side gable. So that's another piece and part coming into it, and then on top of the side gable, we have the clipped gable or jerkin head. So you have 3 different roof systems all tied together in one just on the side load of the garage.
And don't forget the cornice returns. The 2 ends that are coming in from that gable are called cornice returns.
You know, there's so many interesting things you can do with roofs and your elevation in general, and we're gonna go talk about a few more.
Now, when we're talking about roofs, the roof behind me actually has a special feature that I want to highlight. You see that nice fireplace going up, and it actually goes higher than the roof. Now, that's an area if we would have kept the same slope and it hit that fireplace wall, there would have been a potential for a leak there. So you can see there's an actual little ridge that goes in there and ties with the main slope of the roof. That's actually called a saddle or a cricket. And what that does is when the water flows down and it hits that saddle, it actually diverts the water around that chimney of that fireplace, creating it so that we don't have any issues with water leaks.
Well, this is a beautiful home we're standing in front of. And one thing that makes this so appealing is the slope of the roof. This is actually a 10-12, so it's very steep.
It is stunning here. We love what they've done with the colors. One of my favorite combinations so far this year that we've done. The stone, the siding, everything is wonderful, but what really sets this house apart from any of the other ones that we've seen so far is that copper roof. It's a standing seam metal roof in the copper color that really creates a wonderful accent for any sort of exterior.
Now, Izzy, the term curb appeal gets thrown out quite a bit when it comes to new construction, but I feel like one of the most underappreciated factors of the curb appeal is the roof itself, because when you're standing at the curb actually looking at the house, over 50% of what you see can actually be the roof.
It's one of those strange things that people don't pay as much attention to as they should. It's just deciding what color roof and what style of shingle they're going to use.
Yeah, now at Granite Ridge we offer several types of shingles, but our 2 most popular are asphalt shingles, and one is called a Patriot and one is called a dimensional shingle.
This is a dimensional shingle, and so you can see here it's got a little more dimension. You have one layer here and another layer here. But the Patriot shingle is actually a single tab shingle, which is thicker than this smaller shingles piece.
Yeah, now the Patriot would be the more cost-effective shingle that we use, but now the dimensional shingle would be an upgrade. Now you said it's got 2 layers, and this second layer here that you can see is actually called the Dragon Tooth. But the Patriot is actually manufactured. They alter their color to make it look like it has dragon tooth.
Yes, so it gives that appearance of the same, or the Patriot has the same appearance as the dimensional shingle from far.
Now I know one thing people are always considered about are blow-offs, wind damage to their roof, and actually both of these shingles come with the same warranty, and that's 110 mile/hour wind.
110 mile/hour wind warranty for both of them, and they both have a nice warranty on them. The dimensional shingle has a limited lifetime, and the Patriot has a 30-year.
Yeah, and behind us we actually have both the Patriot and the dimensional, but I bet to our viewers they can't tell the difference between them, and that's one of the huge upgrades here at Granite Ridge.
So one of the things that makes Granite Ridge stand apart, again, is that we have more than one type of shingle available for you, and don't forget, 50% of your curb appeal actually comes from your shingles.
Now Izzy, can you tell me which one you think is Patriot and which one you think is dimensional?
I bet you I can get it right, because it's usually...
You know, Elizabeth, speaking of roofs, this roof system behind us, we call it the pergola, is very, very popular today.
And many of our homeowners have decided to put these in. A nice decorative feature in their backyard, a pergola for a few $1,000s. What a great thing.
Love it.
You know, there's a lot of things that we are really blessed at here in Fort Wayne and Allen County. One thing we'd really like to thank the Fort Wayne City and the Parks Department and everyone who's letting us come in and do these shows and episodes out here. One big thing about this really is sacred ground. This is where the Miami Indians did spend their winters. This is where the rivers all met. This is really an integral part of our city. And we actually are lucky enough to have over 100 parks over all of Allen County.
We're also blessed to have a lot of trails. We have a wonderful trail system. They're already in, and then there's more coming in the future. Parks and trails are really a vital part of a prospering city.
They really are. Well, I hope our audience found this fun today, talking about roofs. Here at Granite Ridge, we always say we've got you covered. Get it? Hey, oh God, guess not. Kayla, would you close for us?
Thank you so much for joining us today. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about who we are, what we do, and why we do what we do so well, please pick up the phone and give us a call, visit our website, or even better yet, come in our front door. We'd love to talk to you about your next home.
This was great. Hey, Gabriel,
I
got some more
need some
roses.
roses.
I'm
I'm just saying, we went through one whole episode with no one getting thrown in the water.
You know, after we saw all those wonderful houses in Foster Park, those historic homes, and talked about all the roof systems, we'd really like to be able to tell our audience, or Foster Park, whatever, Lakeside Park, wherever we're going. We haven't been there yet, Lakeside Park.
And it's got a side load garage that's very intriguing. So what I like to
Okay.
it's something we do that really makes our houses set up. I was kind of trying to end it, and I couldn't figure out how to end it. Yeah. And don't forget, it's over 50%, or up to 50%. So having more than one shingled option is something that Granite Ridge offers. One is boxy and symmetrical, and the other are the lower ones that are a little more asymmetrical. Lonnie, good luck. You're both like. And the front porch has beautiful brick, bended brick, or no, that's not bended brick, arched brick. Bended like brick. The front porch is beautiful again with double row of arched brick to make it really look accented. That was horrible.
You want me to say it?
Hey, Lonnie, we're at Lakeside Park.
Hold on, aren't we supposed to be like way up here close to the camera? Like the line was here.
I know it. I thought, well, I just thought, well, Kayla wants to be in front of the camera. You know, it's all
I
right.
am floating in nowhere, guys.
It's about me, people.
Okay, it's about me.
I was trying to go like that.